Seven Springs Mountain Resort, nestled deep in the mountains of Pennsylvania. In the winter, it's a ski lover's paradise. But today, these mountains will offer a new challenge. Nearly 700 mountain bikers have journeyed here to compete in the Three Musketeers Champion Challenge. The Three Musketeers Champion Challenge is brought to you in part by Seven Springs Mountain Resort, Pennsylvania's largest ski and year-round resort. By Subaru, test drive the 1997 Subaru Outback, the world's first sport utility wagon. And by Health and Fitness Magazine, from extreme sports to nutrition, it's all here. Hello everybody, I'm Greg Loskar, and welcome to ATV Sports coverage of the 1996 Three Musketeers Champion Challenge. There are nearly 700 mountain bikers here from 15 states, all competing for more than $10,000 in cash and prizes. These racers will compete in vigorous downhill, dual slalom, and cross-country events. Now, mountain bike racing has become one of the fastest-growing sports in America today. It's the ultimate test of strength, courage, and stamina. In fact, just this summer, mountain biking saw its debut in the 1996 Olympic Games. Not bad for a sport that is only 20 years old. So as this sport continues to grow, more and more races emerge. And this year, Seven Springs is playing host to event number 10 in the American Mountain Bike Challenge Series. The course is unyielding, and the competition is overwhelming. From novice to pro, they've come here to accept the ultimate challenge. So who will be crowned this year's champions? When we come back, we'll take a look at this year's hair-raising downhill competition. Some say it's nature's perfect roller coaster. Wow, after a crash like that, you may want to find a new hobby. But the reality of this sport is the faster you go, the more dangerous it is. And perhaps the most fatal event in mountain biking is downhill racing. Racers must defy gravity in a relentless pursuit to beat the clock. Before you know it, you're barreling down the side of a mountain at speeds topping 50 miles per hour. And one false move could spell disaster. Obviously, downhill racing isn't for everyone, but for those adrenaline junkies who thrive on speed, it's the ultimate challenge. In the sport of mountain biking, there is nothing more thrilling or more dangerous than downhill racing.
First rider!
It's an adrenaline rush fueled by fear and measured by risk.
Downhill racing, because it's fast, it's fun, it's exciting, and it's dangerous.
Imagine yourself descending 2 miles down the side of a mountain at speeds topping 45 miles per hour. Suddenly, gravity takes hold and fear transcends all logic. It's a thrill downhill racers live for and a feeling most of us only dream about.
We want some speed. We need speed. Plat to kill all the way. Fast mountain, fast courses.
In downhill racing, each racer is competing for the fastest time. And at speeds exceeding 40 miles per hour, the feeling is euphoric, a natural high. But one false move could be fatal. That's why racers like Jay DeJesus arm themselves with protective gear to prevent the unthinkable.
This protects my shoulder and my collarbone. Up to my cranium, I have a full face helmet on, protects my head and my dental features. It's a good gear to have. And I've got gloves, and they've been used.
Downhill racers have a need for speed. The faster the course, the greater the risk. But this year's downhill offered a more physical challenge.
Hey, it's a rough, tough course, but this is cross country. This is not downhill.
The downhill course is definitely an East Coast downhill. It starts with a lot of technical, rocky single track, and then there's some fast finishing. But it's a peddler's course, which is notorious for the East Coast.
The course is a little mixed up. It's got a lot of flat on top. It's very anaerobic, and a lot of people don't like that because it's a lot of pedaling, and some of us really dig it because we were more fitness oriented.
I think that's good because it separates, because you got to be a well-rounded rider, and you got to have that climbing too. It shouldn't all just be boom, be well-rounded.
The course began with a fast start from Lake Tahoe. Within seconds, you enter a stretch of technical single track designed to challenge even the most experienced riders.
Well, it's sloppy. This time of the year, I didn't think it would be as sloppy as it was. I had a little problem through the rocks. I had to step down. But I just wanted to make it through the flat and get down to these switchbacks, and I was home free.
Yeah.
This is fun. Being a cross-country racer, the uphills didn't bother me at all. And I love technical rocky sections, and so I excelled in that. So I think I did pretty good.
It's real slippery up there. All the switchbacks are real loose, and it must have rained or something last night because there's lots of mud.
It was a really tough course, great switchbacks, very hard in the middle, very even section, and you really had to keep that momentum going to finish really well, but pretty spent.
Mountain bikes are designed to operate in any condition and over any terrain, but mechanical problems are inevitable, especially during a race.
Well, my chain just jumped, and it locked up in the back, and I can only go up into certain gears because I got such a big chain ring, and that's what threw me off. It bent my derailleur hanger, had to bend it back up there. Here I am.
I banged a rock. I went through the rocks real fast, and I heard some banging going on. So I think it was just a pinch flat, they call it. It's a tough break today. Yeah.
Right after the flat section for the uphill, I hit something hard, but I kept going. I guess it became a slow leak after that. Right at the last switchback, it went completely flat, and I was bummed.
All of a sudden, it just locked up, and what happened, I think, is the tire came off, like you see, and the spoke wrapped around this and got it caught up on my brakes.
After a tough grind through the technical single track, it was the moment these downhill racers live for: a rapid descent through the corkscrew switchbacks.
You probably drop a good, 900 feet in probably about 50 seconds or, under a minute.
The second bend of the switchbacks provided perhaps the greatest challenge of the course. In a race where time is of the essence, a bend like this one can be detrimental.
No matter how stoked I was, I still was going to fly off that course going too fast.
The turns are super fast, and you get too excited and you kind of forget you're supposed to brake, and then you kind of go off course.
My first run I did on the switchbacks, I lost it one time, but this time I knew what I was up for and up against, which I prepared, and I think I did really well.
Well, I told him if he fell, I was going to run him over at the starting line.
Yeah, he caught me around, fell up at the switchback. I fell down, and he caught me coming down the hill. So I guess I was catching up more than pushing. Let's see, top speed 39.8. Probably there right at the end.
In the Expert Pro Elite class, it was a tight race between Eric Gephardt, Julian Hunter, and Scott McLean. Eric pulled an impressive time of 5:16.57, but it wasn't enough to beat Julian Hunter's winning time of 5:16.34. Julian beat Eric's time by just 23/10 of a second. Scott McLean finished third at 5:18. In the women's event, Joanna Sales captured first place with the fastest female time of 6 minutes 15 seconds, followed by Megan Clark's second place finish at 6 minutes 29 seconds. And Elisa Tavernia held on to third with a time of 7:09. In the men's sport division, James Pottinger took first with a time of 5:34. Kevin Johnson secured second place at 5:37, and Len Irvin Jr. rounded out third place with a time of 5:42. There were only 3 women racing in the beginner class. Karen Coleman captured first with a time of 7:01. Jennifer Smith came in second at 7:29, and Jan Dupree finished third at 8:45. Finally, in the men's beginner class, Joseph Glotz finished in third place at 6:04. Alan Dahm held on to second at 6:01, and Charles Prickett captured first with a time of 5 minutes 58 seconds. Coming up, you've seen it done on skis, but how about on a mountain bike? We'll check out this year's dual slalom competition next. The dual slalom competition requires tremendous speed and agility. It is the only event in mountain bike racing where racers compete one-on-one. The goal is to get down the mountain as quickly as possible without making any mistakes. This is made all the more difficult by weaving in and out of flagpoles without knocking the poles out of the ground. Dual slalom racing offers perhaps this sport's greatest adrenaline rush.
It's rough and it's tight, It's very bumpy, and as you can see, if you play that back, I lost my footing at least once on the hill, and a lot of people are. It's really a challenge.
Dual slalom racing. It's about speed, agility, and competition. These riders are racing against time and each other. Much like dual slalom skiing, two racers begin at the top of a ski slope. From there, they must weave in and out of 15 gates in a heart-pounding race to the finish line.
There was a couple sections that were really cool I had no problem with, but just got to tighten up the next run.
It's a pure adrenaline rush that usually lasts less than 30 seconds. But in that brief moment, anything can happen.
I stood up to pedal and my chain snapped and popped off the chain ring, and just all my weight was forward from pedaling, and over the bars I went.
Fast, a lot of nice turns, some jumps, some air. It's nice. Jay did a nice job.
This year's dual slalom course was designed by Jada Jesus, who added a couple of jumps to make the competition a little more challenging.
Really tough course. Very steep at the top, gates are really close together, and the two jumps. Gotta hit them right or you're gonna miss those next gates.
The last gate, the jump is a little bit tricky, but more than that, there's a lot of stuttery bumps here, and it gave me problems, and it's given a lot of people problems. Can't really see it because of the grass, but it's there, and it's difficult to pedal through, and it's difficult to keep your speed through it, too.
It's a challenging course. It's a lot of loose rocks and dips, but it's fun.
Oh, the course was good. I skied slalom before. This is my first bike race slalom, so I really enjoyed it.
I like this slalom course. It's got some technical and it's got some fast parts to it. It's got a lot of, I like the speed bumps. Those are nice.
Downhill, it's kind of get up the crank till you wreck or finish. It's like, but slalom it's more of a fun course. It's like, you're not so pressured or anything because you know you got like 4 runs to go down and stuff.
Unlike downhill racers who only get 2 runs, dual slalom racers compete in as many as 4 elimination runs. The top 8 racers from each class then advance to the finals. And that's where the competition really heats up.
That run I had was really smooth and that was really nice, so hopefully I can keep it up and get in the top 8 to qualify.
In the men's expert class, it was a heated competition between Luke Patching, Jada Jesus, Scott McLean, and Michael Julian. After qualifying 3rd, Michael Julian pulled to the front, managing to push out Scott McLean, who was the 7th seed. Jada Jesus finished 3rd, and Luke Patching had to settle for 4th after this unfortunate accident in the semifinals. It was a tight race between Elisa Tavernia and Lisa Davies, but in the ladies' dual slalom finals, Tavernia edged out Davies for the win. In the men's sport class, it was Chris Peck at 4th, Scott Miller at 3rd, Todd Bosch finished 2nd, and Jim Rogers took 1st. In the beginner men's class, Lane Falk finished 4th, Rob Burkholder came in 3rd, Eric Williams secured 2nd, and Travis Hahn walked away with a 1st place finish. Finally, in the women's beginner class, Sandra Mesker finished 4th, Megan Clark took 3rd, Jennifer Smith came in 2nd, and Holly Kuhn finished 1st. Coming up next, it's man versus mountain in the grueling cross-country competition. The downhill and dual slalom events required speed and agility, but for the cross-country competition, it becomes a true test of physical strength and endless stamina. This year's cross-country course is a combination of technical single track, power climbs, and nerve-testing descents. The 7.5-mile loop requires 1,200 feet of climbing per lap. Whether you're doing 1 lap or 3, cross-country racing is all about endurance. Cross-country racing, with its steep uphill climbs, rocky technical single track, and fast descents, It is without a doubt the most challenging event in mountain bike racing.
It's 7.5 miles, and it's really tough. I gotta say, it's my first race, and I wasn't really ready for it, I'll tell you that much.
In a race that can last as long as 3 hours, the mental and physical demands can be overwhelming.
The cross-country course this year is a very physical course. It's about 8 miles long. It's going to be challenging to most people. The beginners are doing 1 lap. The pro elites will be doing 3. I don't think too many people are going to come off this course thinking that they haven't been challenged today.
3, 2, 1.
The course began with a steep uphill climb in an effort to spread out the nearly 400 racers. These riders must climb 1,200 vertical feet in just the first 3 miles of the course.
It's fun. It's a little bit different. You have 2 big climbs right off the start before you get into the single track. Usually you have a climb, then single track, and then another climb. So this is pretty neat. I like the climb, and that's good for the start.
There's a lot of climbing. It was tough. Most of the courses in Maryland aren't quite as steep, not many mountains. So it was definitely a change. It was good.
The first uphill climb is where the strongest riders secure their lead. Then it becomes a matter of pacing through the rocky technical single track.
Oh, wow. The course is really technical. There's a lot of rocks, big trees. There's a lot of stuff over the course. You need a lot of technical skills to go through that course. It's really tiring.
I didn't think there was going to be as many rocks as there really was, but there's a tremendous amount of rocks, that's for sure.
It's very greasy today. There's a lot of rocks up there. It's a lot easier to run in them than it is riding them today.
Yeah, some of them are treacherous. You got to carry your bike over and then ride over them. I don't know how the pros do it.
A cross-country course is a lot like an obstacle course. When you're not grinding through rocks or jumping over logs, you must carefully maneuver around 400 other racers. Remember, this is a race against time, and every second counts.
I had an eye on her. She was keeping me going the whole time.
She passed me for a little bit, but I wouldn't let her, so I came back.
Had a couple racers in front of me at the beginning of the race, very good climbers, and I just had to catch them on the technical parts. There were some very technical downhills, and just had to stay real loose on my bike and hope for the best.
The 2 most challenging sections of the course featured a steep, muddy technical downhill and a sharp, winding bend at the start of the switchbacks. The technical downhill was so advanced that it was off limits to the beginner class, but everyone else had to defy gravity in an attempt to avoid the inevitable.
I was following the second place guy down a very technical downhill, rooted out, and I was riding too close to him. There wasn't a big enough cushion, and he went down, and I didn't grab my brakes fast enough and went down on top of him. But he was very nice about it. He's like, you know, get up, let's get on our way. We're leading the race, and we finished the race, and I won.
Cross-country racers must possess a high level of endurance. In a race that lasts 3 hours, even the most experienced riders can lose time due to mechanical problems or fatigue.
A huge amount of climbing. I feel like I paid my dues for climbing. Finally got to racing downhill coming in, but quite glad of coming over that crest on those rocks over there.
Chain died, and then my chain tool died.
Well, if you get the spectator,
you
get the spectator helping him on film, yeah, he will be out of the race. I hit the wall big time. I'm so hungry. is a good lesson to carry an extra tube next time.
Yep. Doing it, Now that I got some food in me, I could only see one of you. There were 3 of you when I rolled up. That was my arch enemy right there, just went by.
Yeah, there you go. Go stick
I think I can get him now.
All right, baby, you look good.
In the Expert Pro Elite class, Kyle Dixon began with the early lead, only to fall to Gunnar Sjogren in the first lap. Kyle kept pace with Gunnar until an unfortunate mishap put him out of the race. In the final lap, Chris Scott blasted out of 4th place. It was then neck and neck between Scott and Sjogren.
Then all of a sudden I'm going around a pond and I happen to look back, as I sometimes do, and there's this little face waving at me. Oh, I better start racing again.
Gunnar went on to win the Pro Elite class with a time of 2 hours, 23 minutes, and 39 seconds. Chris Scott came in 1 minute behind, and Michael Uzel finished 3rd. In the ladies' expert class, Julie Taylor finished 3rd, Susan Hayward came in 2nd, and Missy Showman finished 1st with a time of 2 hours and 1 minute. Rob Boyd captured 1st place in the men's expert 19 to 34 class with a time of 2 hours, 27 minutes, and 8 seconds. Matt Ross won the men's 35 to 44 class with an impressive time of 2 hours, 49 minutes, and 3 seconds. Teresa Morningstar was the champion in the women's expert 45 to 54 class with a time of 2 hours, 11 minutes, and 46 seconds. And Freddie Stauffer won the men's junior expert class with a time of 2 hours, 34 minutes, and 27 seconds. There were 5 champions in the sport class: Aaron Ford, Eric Cole, Michael Hendricks, Tim Sweeney, and Jane Tunadine each took 1st place in their individual classes. The champions of the beginner class included Michael Bauer, Sean Bookhammer, Mark Bosley, Bob Webster, Jerry Bouton, Denise Sultanian, Julie Allen, and Catherine Bouton. All 8 racers finished 1st in their respective classes. And before we go today, we have some exciting news to announce. Next year, Seven Springs will be hosting a national mountain bike race, so you'll definitely want to get ready for that one. Thank you for joining us, everyone. We'll see you next time.